In a perfectly synchronized machine, a single gear slip or a jarring spark of error produces a visceral reaction in the type 1. It is a physical itch that aggressively demands to be scratched. Within the Enneagram framework, this sensitivity to error defines the personality archetype known as type 1, the reformer. This chart represents the reformer's operating system. They do not see the world in gradients. Instead, their worldview abruptly splits into a high-contrast binary. There is absolute right, and there is absolute wrong. This binary creates a single compulsive motivation. They feel a personal, moral obligation to correct the imperfections of the world until it meets their definition of good. But demanding total correctness while living in an inherently messy universe generates massive internal friction. The reformer spends their life trying to force an unpredictable world into a rigid box. That constant friction is what powers the psychological engine of the type 1. Type 1s believe that if a task is left to others, the standard will inevitably slip. This distrust of external standards drives them to take total personal ownership of every outcome, resulting in individuals who are highly conscientious, deeply ethical, and fiercely self-reliant. These traits manifest as a superpower in high-stakes situations. During a crisis, the reformer is the most dependable person in the room. They are the coworker who stays late to fix a technicality, and the friend who shows up with a proactive plan before you even ask. The mechanism behind this reliability is the harsh inner critic. This is a relentless internal voice that constantly monitors their own behavior, enforcing strict methodology and demanding constant improvement. While this inner critic makes the type 1 exceptionally effective, it forces them to operate at a dangerous, unsustainable psychological temperature. Eventually, the engine hits a failure point. It is mathematically and humanly impossible to achieve 100% perfection across every facet of life. Falling short of their own standards triggers an internal crisis. The type 1 suffers from immense guilt and a loud, self-deprecating inner dialogue for even the smallest oversight. To survive this crushing self-judgment, the type 1 utilizes a defense mechanism called reaction formation. To prevent an internal system failure, they take that building pressure and aggressively vent it outward, projecting their harsh criticism onto the people around them. The results are destructive. They become rigid, judgmental, and prone to micromanaging. They hold partners and colleagues to the same unrealistic expectations that are currently making them miserable. This creates two dominant emotional patterns: a profound anger at a broken world and a deep resentment toward others who don't seem to be trying nearly as hard as they are. The very engine that drives their excellence ultimately traps them in chronic dissatisfaction, pushing away the exact people they are trying to lead. This cycle is not a permanent sentence. Type 1s can navigate out of this rigidity using the clinical framework of self-mastery. This table tracks the psychological evolution of the reformer across different levels of health. By looking at the first row, we can see the specific path of growth. At the low mastery level, the type 1 is self-righteous and chronically dissatisfied. They are obsessed with moral superiority and frequently blind to their own hypocrisy. In the high mastery state, the behavior shifts. Here, the reformer is wise and deeply accepting. They learn to welcome spontaneity and bring a sense of calm order to their environment rather than a sense of pressure. Reaching this state requires a psychological pivot. The type 1 must consciously learn to let go of absolute control and embrace the gray areas of human existence. When they balance their high principles with patience and humor, the reformer evolves. They shed the role of the punishing critic and become the inspiring leader, bringing precise, calm order to the world without the burden of shame.